What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. I think when you talk about the 1990s, right, and the greatest duos in the NBA at that time, I think number one on the list has to be Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. There's no doubt about it. Now, there have been other great duos in the history of the NBA, obviously. Stockton and Malone, Shaq and Kobe, the Splash Brothers, Kareem and Magic, Kareem and Oscar, going all the way back old school, Bob Cousy and Bill Sharman. I guess another great duo you could argue is Dave Cowens and John Havlicek for a spell, even though there are other players on that team that were like the two best players. Another one would be Earl the Pearl Monroe and Walt Clyde Frazier, Wes Unseld and Elvin Hayes. A lot of great players back then, man. But anyway, I think most of us would obviously put Michael Jordan ahead of Scottie Pippen, right? But Larsa Pippen, and I'll put a link to this article in the pinned comment in the comment section below. She said this a little while ago. And I think this is in the aftermath of the Last Dance docuseries. She believes that Scottie Pippen was the best player on that team. Now, it's not that far-fetched for her to say that, being that that's Scottie Pippen's ex-wife. But this is what she had to say. She said, I think Scottie wasn't portrayed as well as he should have been because I do feel like he basically was the team. I know I'm biased, but honestly, Scottie was winning without Michael. But Michael wasn't winning without Scottie. So you have to give Scottie credit. Now that I read that, I'm even more convinced now that Larsa had something to do with Scottie's decision to not have that surgery earlier in the summer of '97, which ultimately led him to miss 44 games during the regular season. I'm certain of it now. If that was her attitude, Scottie, let's enjoy our summer together. I mean, but look, I'm supposed to have surgery. Yes, I'm talking like Goofy. I'm supposed to have surgery. No, if Michael Jordan is making $30 million and you're only making $800,000 or $1 million, Scottie, no. Let's just enjoy our summer together. Let Michael Jordan run the team since he's so much better. I think you're right, Larsa. I am going to elect to have my surgery later. Yup. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you a treat, Scottie. What is it? Woo! Oh, boy. Anyway. Look, man. At the end of the day, this thing about Scottie was winning without Michael. What did he win without Michael? I don't recall Scottie Pippen winning a championship without Michael Jordan. Now, I know the same is true. He didn't win without Pippen, but if people keep talking about the 94 season, let me remind people about something. That 1994 roster was significantly stronger than the 1993 roster. Okay? As a matter of fact, do people forget that the 1994 roster was the first year that they had Tony Kukoc, who is an international Hall of Famer? Now, he's not in the NBA Hall of Fame, but this was a really good international player who played a role in the NBA. But he was a really good player. Often nights, to be honest with you, some nights, he was the Bulls' second best player. Sometimes he outplayed Scottie Pippen offensively. Let's be real. So they had Tony Kukoc that year. Okay, that was the first year that the aging John Paxson retired, right? Didn't he retire? No, he retired, I think, going into that season, right? So he was done. Steve Kerr was there. Luke Longley arrived. Matter of fact, much of the players who would be on the championship teams of the mid to late 90s arrived that year. In 93, that was arguably the weakest team outside of Michael and Scottie that the Bulls had. You could argue in 98, but no, because they still had Dennis Rodman and Tony Kukoc. Outside of Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan, the 92-93 team was very weak. Very weak. Trent Tucker, an old-ass John Paxson, an old-ass goddamn Bill Cartwright, Craig Hodges was gone. Cliff Levingston was gone. So, I mean, it's kind of like, you got to look deeper than, Scottie won a playoff series, a couple, without Michael Jordan. Well, the same thing is true with Michael Jordan without Scottie Pippen. But, when Scottie Pippen went to the, semifinals in 93, 94 with the Bulls, they were facing the Knicks, right? It wasn't like they were facing the bad boy Pistons. It wasn't like they were facing the 80s Celtics teams, right? It wasn't like they were facing Julius Erving, Moses Malone, and Charles Barkley in the East. Come on now. Let's be honest. The 1993-94 season was a relatively weak year in the Eastern Conference. Do I have to make a point? Do I have to prove this? Let's just go 1993-94 NBA Eastern Conference. Let's see how many juggernauts were in the Eastern Conference that year. Let's see if I can find this. Give me 1 second. All right. The New York Knicks were a good team, right? They went to the NBA Finals. The Orlando Magic, they were 50-32. And then the drop-off. The Nets, 45-37. The Heat, 42-40. Boston, 32-50. The Sixers, 25-57. The Bullets, 24-58. All right, that's the Atlantic Division. It's the Central Division. Atlanta Hawks, 57-25. And I think this is the year that they traded Dominique Wilkins. The Bulls, 55-27. Surprising, right? The Pacers, 47-35. The Cavaliers, 47-35. And here's the drop-off. The Hornets, 41-41. The Bucks, 20-62. The Pistons, 20-62. A far cry from the bad boys, right? Where's the Super Philadelphia 76ers team with Andrew Toney, Mark Alvarone, Julius the Doctor? Where's that Milwaukee Bucks team that was winning 55 and 60 games throughout the 80s? The best team in the 80s not to go to the finals. Where they at? Oh, they're 20-62. Come on, man. Even the Hawks in the 80s were stronger than they were in the 90s. The Bullets were better in the 80s than they were in the 90s. So, I mean, yeah, Michael Jordan did not have a winning record, before Scottie Pippen got there. But there's a lot of things I could bring up. I could bring up expansion. There were 4 expansion teams added between 1987, 88, and 88, 89. Look at some of these bottom dwellers. Let me see the expansion teams. The Heat, 42-40. Now the Magic were good because they had acquired Shaq and Penny and Nick Anderson. But let's see what else. The Hornets, 41-41. And what's the other expansion team that they had? Oh, the Timberwolves. That's in the Western Conference. 20-62. So you have all of these extra games against mediocre, for the most part, or bad opponents to help pad your record. Whereas when Michael Jordan first came in the NBA and there were like only 23 teams, well, guess what? You're playing the best competition more often. You're playing Boston 5-6 times a year instead of just 3 and 4. You're playing Philly 5 and 6 times. You're playing Cleveland 6 times. You're playing, the Detroit Pistons 6 times, who's in your own division, instead of just 3 or 4 times. You feel me? So there's a lot of different things you got to look at. And besides, Larsa, look who you fucking now. I mean, Michael won to me. Shit, like to me, you trying to get as close to Michael Jordan dick as possible. Oh yeah, by the way, their first playoff series together, Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan, I mean, despite the overwhelming advantage Mike has in most stats, he's the all-time leader in scoring for the Bulls. I believe he's still the all-time leader in rebounding for the Bulls. He's the all-time leader in assists for the Bulls. All-time leader in steals for the Bulls. But despite that, their first series together, just to squash this notion that Scottie just came in gangbusters, not only did he only average 7 points a game his rookie year, but their first series together, Michael Jordan averaged 45 points per game, 45.2 if I'm not mistaken, which I think is the second highest scoring average for a player in the history of the NBA. Scottie Pippen averaged 10 points a game. And another point I want to make before I go, those Bulls teams that Michael Jordan had to play on were not very good before Scottie and Horace got there. And they still were winning close to 50% of their ball games. So let's just stop this bullshit, man. But anyway, tell me what you guys